Hi, this is Brian Pasch, and I have a challenge for general managers and owners of dealer groups. When you hear that customers want a more transparent, faster, and easier way to buy a new car, some of you are saying that would be nice, but it doesn't fit into our sales process. What if you could deliver a transparent, faster, and easier way that was more profitable and sustainable? If you don't believe me, tune into my story about the future of automotive retail powered by the technology of Fuse-Autotech. To continue our story of transforming modern retail, I wanted to bring here into Fuse Studios Yaron Rosen. He's the CEO of Fuse-Autotech. Yaron, welcome. I'd like people to know a little bit about your background because as we learned earlier from Andrew, Fuse was built from the Walser organization. But when more and more people wanted this software, it really had to be brought up to world-class standards for security, performance, and they brought you in to take this homegrown solution into a world-class automotive retail platform. So what's your background? How did you get Andrew and his brother to invest in you?
Oh, wow, that's a funny story. My background is very, very different. I was a military guy for over 3 decades, served my country proudly. And when I stepped out about 7 years ago, I passionately went into the startup world because I just love solving big problems with technology, coming from an Air Force background that is very technological, and people, process, and technology is a thing that is sort of in my DNA, and I just love doing. So I started in cyberspace, 2 startups, and then I was fed up with cyber. I'm still doing it, but I'm fed up with it. And I really wanted to touch something that I would do and solve a big problem that I could actually see people happy with what I did. Because cyber is like preventing something and convincing someone that nothing will happen if you work with me. And it's just a different sell, right?
And no one's happy in that space
to pay insurance
because they're always thinking that tomorrow things could, totally unwind.
Yeah, I'm not happy to pay insurance. I know I need to, but cyber is sort of like that. And someone introduced me to Ellie Wertman from Pico Ventures, and I was in the region, and he said, "Why don't you fly up to Minneapolis and meet Andrew and Paul Walser?" And I said, "What business is that in?" And he said, "Automotive." I said, "Oh, that's very far away from what I'm doing." But actually, it's not, because when I came here about 10 and a half months ago, I stepped into a Toyota dealership, and it just hit me. It was amazing. It reminded me of my days in the Air Force, in my squadron. And, it was very people process oriented, but it was so complicated. It was just fascinating to me how so many inefficiencies were there. And basically that's what an entrepreneur is looking for. And I fell in love with the problem. And and the rest was history. I mean, 3 weeks later, I was the CEO, stepping into the, into the company. And since then, we're just like running and trying to solve this problem as best as we can. And I think we're doing pretty well.
Well, one of the things that I think is important to the story is that your dev team, based out of Tel Aviv, is following a world-class model that some of the best, most highly valuable software projects are being done in Israel. And in the automotive world, some of the largest OEMs have their critical software development there. For the dealers here who just love a little bit of the entrepreneurial journey, starting at Walser, bringing you in, what's so special about this team that you've built in Israel that's, accelerating the advancement of a modern retail experience here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think that's a great point because I think what Andrew and Paul Walzer understood is that, as much as you as a dealer, you understand the problem and you understand the business, there's no doubt about that. You need to use the capabilities in the places that know how to solve specific problems, right?
Right.
Like take whoever is very good at something. So in this case, I think that the fact that Fuse was born and inside a dealer group is the first and most important fact about Fuse. But the other side is that they understood that Fuse needs to step out of the Walzer group and just be developed just like any other startup with their roots in the startup mentality and DNA of solving problems
And innovation.
and innovation. So where do you solve? Where do you have innovation? So Israel is one of the highest, fastest moving places for innovation globally.
Yes.
So in Israel we have the R&D and product teams that are working in conjunction with the US team, which is everything that is dealer facing, of course, is here.
Right.
So this combination, just like all the large companies that you mentioned, whether it's Google, Intel, all these companies did that because they probably understand something.
They figured it out.
They figured it out. So I think we figured it out, and we have just the best out of these two worlds at Fuse, and working across these oceans today is much easier than it was in the past.
That's right.
The world is small. You do most of the things in Zoom, and I'm here about third of my time. So,
right.
And we travel around in the U.S. and talk to dealers and try to solve their problems together. And I think it's a great model. It works well.
Yeah, my business has been transformed as well. I used to travel a lot more, and I think everyone's now comfortable as I can be more efficient by having a meeting remote. I don't need to spend countless hours on a plane. Of course, days like today here in the Fuse studio, we want to be together. I think it's more effective when we can collaborate face-to-face and have conversations. But what I'm very interested to hear, from your perspective, really shepherding the vision that the Walzers started, this idea that you're not reinventing the DMS, you're not reinventing the CRM, but everything in between can be done on a single screen. It creates greater efficiencies, greater trust. It can save dealers money, right? Because they probably have 6, 7, 8 different tools. So how did you work to create this seamless experience that someone without a lot of automotive knowledge could really walk someone through? What have you learned? Because you saw a complicated problem and solved it with an elegant solution.
Yeah, that's a great description of what we do. And I think that when you look at why people use technology, why do we need technology? There's a lot of resistance sometimes to change, right? We're all humans. Don't fix what ain't broken. Let's just keep doing it. How much do I need to invest in this change? All these things that hold us back from improvement and from any aspect of modernization that is in our life. And I think that once we cross a threshold, that sort of we get it. Like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe this can solve a few of my problems. And maybe I do need to spend a little time solving it, but then the upside is the ROI is just amazing. And I think what we did is what we're trying to do. And, and we did in first phases. First of all, as you said, we understood exactly where the gap is. And the gap is the in-store. Okay, so the point of sale system that we call point of sale, taking it from retail, it's actually a little bit more complicated in buying or selling a car, right?
Of course.
It's not the supermarket
That's
thing. You're just, a barcode
Scanning.
and pay and buy. There's a lot more to do there. So that's why it's so interesting. So we're trying to take that. So all the leads, wherever they come from, now how do you process that? How do you do it in the most efficient way? How do you show the customer what you're doing and build the trust that allows him to sort of relax and rely on your recommendations for F&I products and whatnot along the way when you're trying to close a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more before the checkout and the payment and all that. And the retention. I mean, if the experience is bad, I won't go back. I won't come back here.
That's right.
So all these things, if you do it in a delightful way, is that like, can we say that?
You can.
Why should that not be just kind of a delightful experience? And when we deployed the first store with our newest version back in September last year, it was just amazing to me to stand. I was sort of standing very close to I asked permission from the customer. Can I please
just
look
watch?
in? I'm
Watch
the CEO, and we're very excited. And they were very nice, and they said, "Yeah, please do that." And I was listening to it, and I saw how two things happened very, very quickly. I think the shoulders from the customer's side sort of dropped down in a relaxed manner, and they were happy with how the sales process was driven.
Right.
And the salesperson was relaxed as well because he was not having all this tension of what's the next thing I have to do, and I have to run back and forth and sorry.
Or is the desk manager available? Or
he wasn't looking around. He was just doing something in a seamless process. And that's what we want it to be. We want it to be sort of guardrailed, and whatever type of deal you're trying to push, whatever process you're doing at your dealership, whether it's single screen, single point of contact, or any other traditional type of selling a car, it doesn't matter. Fuse streamlines with you. It's customized to your process in a very easy way. And all you have to do, once you define it in the system, it really helps the salesperson and the manager just go through it in a very fast and efficient way. So that's what we're trying to do, basically.
And what I love is that the Fuse-Autotech platform works with any business model, but it's the same screen. I remember early on when I was covering digital retailing, and it was throw something on the website, it becomes a super lead because the customer can get some payments. But when they were getting in the F&I office, right, it was a completely different screen or a different menuing system. I love the fact that Fuse's vision is single screen. If it's operated by one or two or three people, depending on whatever the dealer's sales process is, it's still one process, one screen. It disarms the consumer. It also feels to me that by having a predefined process that's customized for each dealer, but on a single screen, it's easier to hire. What are you hearing from your customers that when they see the Fuse 6.0 platform, I can hire anybody who has a great personality, has some retail customer experience. They don't have to be in automotive. It almost sounds like this is also a problem to HR and hiring problems that dealers have historically had.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, everyone in any business has, how you work with your employees. How long does it take you to train the employees? And you mentioned that, what do you need? You need people that connect to people, customers, like selling a salesperson that needs to sell. The first thing is the connection with the customer. A person that shows some kind of compassion and can sell a car or can sell anything, right? We're trying to sell. And so I think the technology in this sense is a bridge. It's a bridge to the automotive industry. It allows a person that understands how selling, basic selling, whatever it is, it allows them to very quickly get into a process which is quite complex. Selling a car is a complex thing. And then I think that what it also does, it allows the sales team, which is actually behind the salesperson, whether it's the manager or the F&I manager, the pit crew, because we're in the car business.
Right.
It allows the pit crew to lean in whenever needed. And the system is doing that automatically from the same screen, right? So the salesperson is doing his thing, and suddenly the manager or the F&I person get a pop-up that someone needs them to approve something.
Right.
Okay, whatever you defined,
Right.
that requires approval. And that's how it works. It automatically pulls in the pit crew
People.
and says, okay, this is your turn now to check OFAC, check this, check that, approve it. And the customer at the same time with the salesperson, they see something that they're used to seeing from their phone, mobile device or their computer, approval in process or something like that. So it's something that the Gen Zs that we're trying to sell the car to, they understand that. It's not like, hey, what's going on there? Where is he going? Why is he giving me pieces of paper? Who works with paper these days, right? What are we, going back to fax machines in a second? I mean, it just doesn't make sense how we sell cars these days. So I think that if you take that whole thing together, my vision, as I see it, is virtually the world I come from is a cockpit, right? So a dealership needs a cockpit. And a cockpit has, just in a car or an aircraft that I'm used to from my old days, it has a screen, it has a dashboard. I understand what's going on. I understand temperatures. I understand where I'm advancing towards. And then what you have is a dealership that is much more managed. You have a salesperson that's driving your goals. He's driving towards your goals. He's selling cars. You have the sales managers, the F&I managers. You have a general manager that doesn't have to guess what his crew is doing. He sees what
everyone's
the crew is
on
doing.
the same
Everyone
set of
sees
controls.
You can actually see with Fuse where people are in the process, how long it takes Mr. X or Mrs. Y to go through desking or credit application or menu. And actually, at the end of the day, when you gather your team and you talk to them, you can actually tell Miss Y to teach Mr. X what she was doing because she was very good at something. So the improvement, the graph of improvement can be exponential and not, oh, I don't want to talk about my problems. Does he like me, my boss, or not? It's just, it becomes part of the DNA of the dealership that, hey, we're here to improve and everybody's here to be better and, make more money.
Right.
And so it's good for everyone.
Yes.
From the salesperson all the way up to the general manager and the dealer group. Think about the dealer group. He has 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 300. I mean, this thing is huge for dealer groups as well.
Right. I think back as you tell the story that when you first looked at automotive and you saw how complicated the process is, dealers who are watching today know they have 5, 6, 7 different pieces of software to get a deal done. They're dealing with paper, as you mentioned. I think about how life used to be before you could book your travel online. Travel was very complicated. We didn't know when flights were flying. We didn't know connection times. We had to call someone, share our vision of what we wanted. They had to check. They had to get back to us. It would go back and forth, back and forth. God forbid a flight got canceled. You would have no ability to react. You would have no feeling of control. And in fact, you might even feel lost. And then you're trying to get your travel agent on the phone and then they weren't picking up. And there was a tremendous amount of frustration. Today, I book all my travel. Cancellations, I'm dealing with my app. I could never imagine going backwards. today dealers who have turned on Fuse and have reimagined automotive retail, I'm assuming they're coming back to you and saying, wow, man, why did I wait so long? What is some of the positive feedback? Meaning, like when you think of what is exciting dealer, is it they're saving money because they got rid of those 5 or 6 tools? Is it hiring more people? Obviously making more money, the higher PVR. But if it's not just higher PVR, that in itself could get someone to make a decision. But I couldn't imagine going back to using a travel agent with paper tickets. What are dealers saying to you that they're the most excited about once they move to a modern sales process powered by the first automotive point of sale system?
Ease of Fuse.
I love that. Little wordplay.
Yeah, ease of Fuse. So what is ease of Fuse? There's a lot behind it, okay? Why work hard? Why should we be working so hard to sell a car? Doesn't make sense.
Right.
It should be easy.
Right.
It should be easy for the selling side and, of course, the buying side. The car buying experience is not very good. Everybody wants it to be better. The buyers, the manufacturers, the dealers as well. I think that this is a win-win-win for the triangle,
yes,
for the Holy Trinity.
Yes.
Right? So we all want to get it better. The question is, and this is the deal, can we make the car buying experience inside the dealership better?
Right.
And I think the answer is yes, because it does not make sense to me that a young F&I office has all these people standing in front of 5, 6, 7 screens and they need to be like closing deals and the salespeople running back and forth and people waiting 2.5 hours on Saturday outside the F&I box. And it just doesn't make sense.
That's right.
It's just not how we do business today. And it's not what people expect from themselves as sellers and, of course, buyers. They won't. They just won't come, and they'll try to buy online. And buying online is, I'm not sure I'd buy my car online.
Right.
This is me. And I think people are telling us, this is not COVID. The real world, thank God, is not COVID. The real world is people, they don't want to spend half a day buying a car, but they want to spend time buying a car. It's an expensive thing.
Right.
It's part of our lives. It's how we're proud of our cars. It's nice to have a nice car, whatever car you can afford. And I just think it should be a delightful experience, just as it is quite delightful buying stuff easy.
Let me pick up on that. I look at myself. I'm the type of person who would want to be in and out in an hour. Historically, when I've purchased a new car, the salesperson, do you want me to show you the electronics? I'm like, no, I'll figure all that out. Today, I think that from my dealer groups that I consult with, individual dealers, 95% of all their transactions are happening in the showroom. Yes, there are some prep work or things that are doing remotely, but it's happening in the showroom. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, if someone comes in without an appointment, I really believe that they're ready to buy a car. And I think it's our sale to lose. So I want to pick up on this. If it's our sale to lose and one dealer is running Fuse in the marketplace and get somebody for a cash deal under a half hour, a lease deal in an hour, and their competitors are in that 2 to 3 hour range, it makes common sense that over time, as that word gets out, this dealer has a competitive edge. So why are dealers so reluctant to change as you're talking to them? If I can do it faster, better experience, at a higher profitability, what would you say is this last roadblock to get more dealers to adopt a modern retailing process powered by a single screen automotive point of sale system.
Today's buyers are power buyers. They come in educated, whether they stepped in without telling you or they have an appointment, right? But when they come in, they know what you're supposed to tell them. And that's actually how you gain trust at the very beginning of the sales process. So the first things you do, you need to be able to gain their confidence in you as so that they don't say immediately, he's bluffing.
Right.
I know the price. I know the model. I know all these little shticks.
I know the current bank rates.
I know the rates. I've done my research. Tell me, what are you going to give me? Because if not, I'm going to go to the other side of the road, right?
Right.
So, and I think on the other side, what I'm experiencing with the dealers is the change management thing. I think that all of us, myself as the CEO of a startup, implementing CRMs and DMSs is a huge effort.
Right.
When I stepped into Fuse, I won't even tell you how long the implementation process was. It doesn't matter because one of the first missions I set was to cut the implementation to something which is almost a no-brainer.
Right.
So it has to be irresistible to you, Mr. Dealer, for you to take Fuse. And I think we have it because the effort that you need to invest in switching to Fuse is actually going to pay off. That goes without saying. It's 4 weeks from the first time we step into your dealership.
Wow.
Until the first soft launch. And through those 4 weeks, we're not going to be all over you. It's completely a process that we map your process.
Right.
And then we prepare. The same time we train, every employee gets about 10 training sessions, which sort of lead them the way they are used to, the Gen Zs.
Right.
They're used to working with something they self-teach themselves.
Right.
And we're there as their pit crew to teach them and walk them through these little corners of how you sell a car, again, after you design the process.
That's right. And so what I'm seeing is 4 weeks gets this software personalized to their sales process.
Correct.
Gets their team trained. And after the soft launch, as you would talk, are they seeing that jump in PVR month 1, or is it month 2 and 3? I mean, talk to the dealers about numbers, right? Okay, so you told them, look, it's what customers want. It's what your salespeople want. I'm going to get you up and running in 4 weeks. Sometimes training people to be a little bit more involved in the F&I process, or maybe they just want to leave it as their traditional process with an F&I manager. Either model, we're seeing people have a PVR increase because of the convenience, speed, integration of tools, single screen. Is it month 1? Is it month 2? Is it month 3? Tell me what that looks like.
It's a good point. We did not see a drop during the implementation. I was surprised. I thought we were going to see a drop and then a rise.
Right.
We didn't see a drop. It was the same PVR, and then it climbed 15% over the PVR prior. So first of all, that is amazing.
Wow.
We measured it after 3 months. So we saw there's no going down. And after 3 months, and I'm assuming that when we check it after 6 months, it's going to be at least the same.
Right.
And I think a 15%, whatever PVR, each dealers are holding different PVRs.
Right.
But a 15% PVR, if you multiply that for a dealer group, whatever the numbers are, that is meaningful today.
That's right. And it's more meaningful in the economic headwinds that we have today, because as we make it more transparent, faster and easier, and more profitable, it's going to help with our inventory turn rates. It's going to help with our retention, word of mouth marketing. No one's telling someone after a 3 or 4 hour car buying experience, man, you got to go to this dealer. It was an amazing 4 hours. But if someone got in and out in an hour, I think that in itself, with your online reviews, with the ability to market your online reviews, this is transformational. Yaron, I want you to think about this coming year. Every CEO is working with your dev teams. You're listening to dealers. What's one thing you could tease out to our dealers today? You have a fully transparent, single screen, retail point of sale system that dealers can use and is working across the country. But what's one thing you're working on that would even put that cherry on the ice cream sundae? Something that would just, wow, if you can solve that, my ears are perking up. What are you working on?
I'll give you 2 cherries.
Okay, come on.
One cherry is compliance.
Okay.
It's a huge issue. Fuse is compliance inside. It has compliance built inside the system, part of the process. And looking at what's going on now with the FTC, the CARS rule,
Yes.
we will all need to figure out how to work with that. And
Correct.
these are meaningful fines that we can prevent from a dealership to incur. So that's the first
cherry. And that's a big cherry. I'm going to call that a watermelon.
Okay.
Because I'm concerned, even though the CARS legislation, there's been some stays of implementation, some redefining, it would be silly for a dealer to believe their manual sales process with sloppy paperwork or lack of audit trail on permissioning and use of personal information is not going to get them in trouble. I think that's a blunder to think that they can wait until, the first few dealers get fined. So that's a big thing. What's the second enticement that your team is working on?
Yeah, it's interesting because I mentioned that I don't like selling insurance, right? So the first watermelon is an insurance-like sell, right? Don't be afraid. We're going to prevent you from.
Right.
So the second cherry is how we help dealers make more money.
Okay.
And I think besides the efficiencies that we're going to add, we're starting to implement AI and BI, business intelligence assisted with AI that will help dealers understand their inefficiencies, specific inefficiencies, and help assist the seller, assist the buyer, and down the road also with areas that are sort of like these dark corners in the way we manage money, how we take money, how we handle declines, how we serve lower FICO customers. All these little places that we lose one deal here, one deal there, all these things, if you aggregate them all together, are going to be a meaningful increase in your...
If you can solve them.
If you can solve them. And with Fuse as a point of sale system, suddenly shedding light on these dark corners,
right,
all together in a way which is easy to figure out, that's what we're trying to build inside the system. And it's coming quite fast.
I'm glad you brought that up, because even though we have been talking about in these interview series about the number of pieces of software dealers have to get a deal done, they're still saying, Brian, I'm still making money. Yes, I got 7 pieces of software, but my team understands them. It's a no-brainer. But you just said something that kind of sparked, is that yes, they're working independently, but they don't help your business get better. if all of those data silos remain separate. With Fuse, single screen, every step is being tracked, the time between every step, the decisions that are made, the offers that are presented, the purchase or non-purchase, which banks were chosen, what profitability those banks offered. By seeing everything in one system, then AI and business intelligence tools can look at that whole data set and see things that we can't see. And I think that has to be a piece that dealers need to think really hard about. If I have one data set that covers the entire retail experience, then I can be smarter if tools can analyze that and find those blind spots. I think that's something we need to delve into as these features come up, because maybe dealers are starting to understand that AI isn't just vaporware. It's actually tools that deal with lots of information, simplify them into action. Am I hitting that right?
Yeah. If you look at what's happening inside a dealership, at the whole life cycle of a car, right? So it's from someone buying a car all the way to the servicing. That is so much data. We cannot, it's very hard for us as humans to sort of understand the big picture, right?
Yeah, make it actionable.
Make it actionable. Tell me what to do better between inside this full life cycle of a car. And I think that's where AI will come into play. When we have all of that data in one place and we have the right data sets, that's how it works. AI cannot work on small data sets. It's about large data sets.
That's right.
That's what we're doing. We're organizing the data and tagging it and building the data infrastructure inside Fuse so it knows how to consume the full life cycle of a car for a dealer. And down the road, what that will do is help us implement solutions, features, perks that will help the dealer simply understand where the dark corners are and make more money $1 at a time. And it adds up. I mean, we're talking to large dealer groups that have tens of thousands of deals per year. If you just make $100 more, that's a lot of money.
Right.
Let's do that. Let's pick
with no effort.
With no effort. It's going to be effortless. That's what technology brings. That's how exciting this is for us at Fuse to be working with these dealer groups and understanding their small problems, but sort of, hey, we can solve that. Let's get into that.
I love this story because what you're really doing is helping dealers unlock the value of their data. You're helping dealers unlock new revenue opportunities by seeing the journey, by seeing the friction points, by seeing the drop balls, by seeing the rounding errors, unlocking its full potential, future profitability, and also giving it a competitive edge. Because when all these little improvements over a dealer group start adding up, we're talking millions of dollars.
Millions.
And this really timely implementation of a point of sale system has probably never been greater, because you have an open API system. You're fully integratable. You can support all the dealers' banks and technologies. You're supporting their DMS. You're supporting their CRM. There's no excuses for them not to reimagine what a single screen that tracks the entire journey. You mentioned 4 weeks for implementation. Let me ask you one other question, because dealers are always afraid that they're different. I'm the only person who does this. I'd like to buy that software, but I'm different. But what I'm hearing is that Fuse was built with your dev team's experience to be flexible, to support different sales process. Is there anything that you'd like to tell dealers? You're not replacing their DMS. You're not replacing their CRM. You're everything in between, and you can accommodate their sales process. Is that a fair statement, or there are dealers that are doing things that you've never heard of before?
I think if you as a dealer want to streamline your process, you should take Fuse. It's
Right.
very simple as that. And this is super important because a dealer that streamlined his process as it is today without Fuse,
Right.
how long did it take you to do that? Like, what do you do in order to streamline your process? You have lenders to talk to, preferred lender agreements, all these contracts with vendors, and it's inefficient.
Right.
So once you have Fuse, you, first of all, facing your organization and facing your customers, it's a no-brainer. It's going to be much, much easier to teach and to scale your business.
Right.
So scale easier.
Right.
The second thing is you're gonna gain value. There's gonna be a lot of value. You're gonna understand the value of your data. Owning data. We're used to not own our data. This is something that happened to us with mobile phones, right? We literally give away our data for free. And other companies are making a lot of money.
Yes.
What we're trying to do is sort of reverse that. And our thesis is a little bit different. We're saying to you guys, dealers, you have a lot of very valuable data. Let us organize your data. Let us organize your process of selling a car seamless, easy, delightful. At the same time, we're going to sort of grasp your data in a way that the people around you that are trying to sell you something are actually going to buy your data from you. You're going to make money from that. Okay. Whether it's the lenders that now want to work with you because it's easier to work through Fuse with a dealership than directly with a dealer. So Fuse also appeals to lenders and to dealers in a way that we create a marketplace that describes what goes on inside the dealership. Lenders don't know what's going on inside the dealership only after the fact.
That's right. They only know if they got a deal
or not.
They don't know how many they didn't get. But if in a truly transparent environment, as deals come in, a certain lender may say, I want to buy more deals on a Tacoma. I want to go deeper on a particular model. It could be dynamic even, right? In
real time.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Because it's your process, your vendors, but now real-time two-way integration gives a win-win for the dealer, the bank, and the customer.
This is a whole new universe I could describe here for hours, but it is really, really interesting. There's a lot of new innovation around financial technology, and Fuse is a fintech financial technology company in the automotive space. So what we're doing is we're trying to tap into the dealership. And with that, what we're doing is we're opening the eyes, like we're opening a camera for lenders to actually see how their offers are being received inside behind the door.
That's right.
They do not have that today.
That's right.
And that is a lot of value for dealers because then they can show exactly what type of customers are stepping into their dealership, and the lenders now they understand much better how much they want to lean into their customer base.
That's right.
In relation to others. So it's a win-win-win-win. Now it's four because the lenders are another side of how we work with the outside world as a dealership, right?
That's right. Well, I think the story that we're telling today is that when you have a unified retail platform, which Fuse-Autotech provides, The future opportunities for innovation grow because it's a single platform with a single API with robust bidirectional integration capabilities. There's no politics, there's no gaming. It's your data, and let's work to create the most sophisticated, profitable, enjoyable, pleasurable, delightful experience. This is really a fantastic vision. Yaron, one last thing. Dealers who are watching this series from its foundation with Andrew Walzer and his brother, from your interview on the technology, listening to the general managers, sales managers, F&I managers who are using this platform. It's a lot of information. Each one of the videos in this series has a different element. I want to give you the last word for this segment. A dealer who's watching, who understands the power of data, understands the power of one screen, understands the potential consolidation of costs and higher PVR. Is there anything that we didn't cover that would make a general manager or a dealer principal act because you know it's part of your success story?
I would go for the change of culture, the improved culture.
Okay.
I think, like any organization, a successful organization starts with leadership, good leadership, business leadership, and personal leadership. If you go with this trend of change with the people, process, and technology, and implement this with confidence that this will change for the better, the dealership culture, the dealership DNA, I think you can build a much better and sustainable and profitable and delightful business that would, at the same time, be easier to implement, be more friendly. You'll have a happier crew, happy customers, returning customers, and a huge potential for growth with the technology being, developed more and more. We'll be throwing in more things. I think that's what I would go for. It's just to unlock that potential is the biggest thing. Once you understand that, it's just like implementing a new operating system, right?
Right.
So Fuse is the operating system, the in-dealership operating system of the future. And that's how I would like the dealers to understand what Fuse is for them. It's your operating system. It's not the CRM. It's not the DMS. It's everything in between as an operating system that is helping you close deals, make more money in an easier way, and grow.
Well, I really appreciate your time and your vision for the product. And for dealers, managers, owners who are watching this segment, let me say one thing. The future of automotive retail has been presented. The benefits are clear. So what's holding you back? Great leaders want great culture. They want great outcomes, and they want their time to have an impact on their people, on their community, to leave a family legacy. What greater legacy could you leave than having the business that everyone talks about, the business that truly delights customers? We all can't be Steve Jobs and say, man, that one individual transformed our lives, and people think of Apple with such high delight. What if it was your business? What would you need to accomplish that? You would need to rethink of how to make your sales process, your whole business more efficient. And that's what Fuse-Autotech is. It's a partner in aligning a vision of the future for automotive retail. But there's more to this story. So let's encourage you and your team to listen to the general managers, the sales managers, the F&I managers, the sales associates who are using Fuse-Autotech. When you see the whole story, everything we talked about today will make sense. So what are we waiting for? Get on to the next module and learn more about how Fuse-Autotech is transforming automotive retail.